Welcome to the Point of No Return podcast, a show at the intersection of technology and strategy. On this show, we interview industry leaders and experts to better understand how they think about strategy during this time of exponential progress.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Point of No Return podcast. Apologies for the 2-week hiatus. Things have been a little bit crazy on my end lately. But today I'm happy to bring to you an interview I had with Francois Fortier, CEO of KLF Media. I didn't know KLF Media, and it was a real pleasure to understand his company and what François is doing and has done in his career. And I have to say he's quite an impressive individual. A little bit on his bio, he's the founder and CEO of KLF Group, which is a 45-employee company in Montreal. He's participated in several successful acquisitions, exits, and investment rounds. He has 12 plus years of entrepreneurship and management experience. The KLF Group is based here in Canada and specializes in e-commerce and distribution. For the past 10 years, KLF has built several highly successful ventures such as Ingentive, Applause, Loyalty Source, Game Access, and Warehouse Go. And we dive into kind of the whole trajectory of these and how he came about creating and developing these different entities. It's really evolved from a humble startup to basically a leader in their industry in loyalty, reward, and recognition. On the show, we spoke about how he studied in Mexico and how that gave him the important ability to be adaptable, how the opening of one company really led to the insight and creation of another, how he uses the Rockefeller habits in the development of their strategy, his latest startup called Applause, which was actually really interesting, and then the importance that employee engagement has in a company strategy. We had a great conversation about his entrepreneurial path and the importance of adaptability, and I really hope that you'll enjoy the conversation. So, thanks for being on the show.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to meet you on this holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. Very quiet in here.
So appreciate that you came downtown and took time out of your schedule.
Absolutely.
My first, I guess, question I have going through your background, one of interest is why study in Mexico?
That's a very good question. The answer to that is I don't know. I knew that I wanted to do a foreign exchange program or be part of the foreign exchange program, and I knew I wanted to learn something and really get out of my comfort zone. I applied for multiple countries, one of them being Mexico, and next thing I knew, I was off to Monterrey to study for 6 months. And study is a very loose term. I actually learned a lot about the culture, learned a lot about the language. I, at that time, was fully trilingual, which was really something that I love seeing the human capacity of adapting. I went to Mexico literally. I had a quick dictionary to translate, and I signed my first lease for my apartment fully in Spanish 3 days later, and never looked back. It was a great time. Wow. Yeah.
That's a lot of fun. You find there's any lessons from your time there that are still applicable for you today as you're running a 30+ person company?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing is, never underestimate your capacity of adapting and making things work. When you dive into the pool, you never know what's in there, what the temperature's like. But one thing you do know is trust yourself and great things can happen.
Very cool. I'd like to dive into how you started your company, because you've been running your group, KLF, and now we have with multiple ventures for over a dozen years. So I'd like to go back to the inception story. So how did it start?
Yeah, absolutely. So we founded in 2005. A very good friend of mine and I were working at a online marketing company. And
which one?
It's called CDT Group, okay, which was acquired by 180 Solutions out of Seattle. And we went through our first exit. It was a good friend of ours who owned the company. And we lived through an exit, and we quickly there was a clash in culture with the new acquiring management. And we quickly realized, this is something that we want to go through ourselves. So we started looking at the market. This was 2005, so the video game industry was really hot and starting to flourish, and we were seeing nothing but up years despite the economical cycles, despite the e-commerce bubble crash. And we said, let's do a little deep dive into the gaming industry. Did a knocked on a couple of doors, went to BDC, raised a seed round, if you could even call it that. It was such a nominal amount that I'm not even sure it qualifies. And then, yeah, we started Game Access. Game Access was our first venture into e-commerce. It was an e-commerce, it was really the first, I like to say, we started in Canada the online subscription model. So at a time where there was really not many, monthly subscription plans that auto-renewed, we launched something that we thought was pretty cool. We didn't reinvent the wheel that much. We looked at what was working in the US. There was Gamefly and Netflix, which were flourishing at the time. And we did something similar, but with a Canadian flavor. And quickly, within 3 years, became Canada's largest online video game distributor.
Very good. And how did you get your first customers?
That was quite the challenge. We thought the good old rule of thumb is build it and they will come. Yeah, that doesn't happen. We quickly realized that we had to invest a lot more than we thought in online marketing. Thank God we were coming from an e-com marketing background, so we kind of knew the ins and outs at the time. AdWords was a very powerful platform, still is, or I shouldn't say was, but it was a little less known back then, and we had the luxury of really understanding how to optimize our keywords and our search engine marketing.
So, and it was also inexpensive at that time. Right?
Absolutely. So keywords were dirt cheap.
Cost to acquire customers very low.
Yeah.
What was your business model exactly? So no online subscription, but how did it work? Who would buy it? How much would they pay?
So it was a free trial, so a freemium to acquire a customer base with an auto renewal into the plan of their choice. At the time, I believe we were really pegging ourselves off of the Netflix model, which was $7.99 per month for unlimited rentals. There were plans, obviously. There was a $7.99, $10.99, $12.99 plan, all depending on how many games, because we were exclusive to video games, how many games you wanted to hold at once. But the acquisition model was really that. Our through the freemium, through a referral, a very generous and rich referral program. So anytime you referred a client, we would not only give you a referral fee, but we would also give 3 months free to your referred partner.
And you would ship physical CDs to customers.
Yes, absolutely. And that division still exists. Okay, believe it or not. Yeah, it's my first baby. It's my first true venture into entrepreneurship, and I have a hard time letting go.
Well, as a guy that's still like my video game consumption consists of buying one game a year between Christmas and New Year's, and just like going into like lockdown mode and just playing. And that's basically it. So there's still
binging.
There's still a need for physical games. So like it's not like be it music or movies that have all gone by way of the pixel. So I could see that is why it would still be alive.
Yeah, absolutely. And we now, since we started in 2005, we have what I like to believe is the richest collection of retro games in Canada.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, we have games from GameCube. We have 13,000 physical copies of games.
No way! Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty.
How across how many consoles?
I think 14, because we also did the handhelds. So we have all the way back to GameCube, PSP, PS2.
Do you have Nintendo 64? If you have Nintendo 64?
No, we don't. Anything that was cartridge based, too big to ship out.
So it's only CDs.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. CDs are very, very small handheld cartridges.
So how long did you run that business before you decided, okay, I want to try my hand at this, starting a company thing again?
Yeah. So in 2009, life is full of surprises, and it's a good segue from what you asked earlier about the Mexico thing. You think you can plan everything out, and you think you know what's ahead of the curve, and then you get a call, and it's an amazing opportunity, and you just have to seize it. And you say, yeah, sure, I'll try that. I'll try my hand at this, new project that I know very little about. But one thing I know is I'm a dynamic person. I'll educate myself like there's no tomorrow. So I like to say yes to opportunities as they arrive, and then retrofit them into the business model. And that's exactly what happened with Loyalty Source. So in 2009, we got a call from a Canadian bank. This was about Christmas time, late November, and they were in a rut. Their reward provider for their reward program, credit card loyalty program, was back ordered on a couple hundred of Nintendo Wiis. And, the bank, procurement department kept Googling, Wii consoles, Wii provider, and game access kept popping up. So they gave us a call. Customer service escalated the call to my office. And, one thing led to another. We helped them out. We said, yeah, of course, we'll bring in Nintendo Wiis. We were the biggest distributor in video games at the time. So we brought in a couple of skids of Nintendo Wiis. We drop shipped them directly to their participants, their credit card holders. And, right after Christmas, the reward program account executive called us and said, listen, we want you guys to take care of all of our gaming, assortment in our reward program. At the time, it was a selection of, I think, 3 to 5 SKUs in the reward program. And, we grew that to an entire, well-managed, selection of, I think, somewhere around 30 SKUs, putting in games, putting in controllers. Remember that this is a time where gaming was a little more mass, with Nintendo Wii coming out. It was more like high dexterity instead of fine dexterity. Mm-hmm. So, your parents were gaming just as much as the kids. Yeah. And so it made sense to have such a wide selection within their catalog. One thing led to another. We went from just gaming to all of electronics. Being that we had a logistics expertise, we had a warehouse, we had dropship capabilities, we had special handling capabilities. They gave us a little nod and said, yeah, okay, go ahead and source more electronic brands for us. So we started like that, went to Sony, which made a ton of sense because we were already a Sony of America distributor through the gaming. Same thing with Microsoft, and we expanded and, yada, yada, yada. A couple of years later, we have 300 brands that we distribute.
At what point did you realize during the conversation with the company, it's like, this is an entirely different business? Like it's not game access. Right?
No, absolutely. And not long after I hung up, that initial call asking for Nintendo Wiis, did I start Googling this industry, and I realized this was not only a very closed loop industry, but it was totally underserviced. It was an industry where your average delivery times were 4 to 6 weeks. It was an industry where, in order to make you feel special for being a really good customer, or in order to make you feel special for being a really loyal employee, you would treat yourself to a gift, and that gift would arrive 6 weeks later. What kind of, where's the disconnect here? I've been really loyal to this credit card company. I haven't gone out and signed any of the 10 other mailers I've gotten last month to change my credit card. I keep spending on the same credit card. I'm accumulating points on the same card. I'm loyal to this company. And when it comes time to treat myself for being loyal, this is the thanks I get, 6 weeks, or sometimes back orders. So we realized, being in the e-commerce industry, and this is when Amazon was starting to blow up, we said, we have to control our distribution. We're a logistics company, or we were exclusively a logistics company at the time. We have to control our distribution, and that means we stock everything. We control the quality. We control the delivery times. We control all the reverse logistics too, right? A lot of our competitors, when we started out, were pure drop shippers. So they would take in all the orders from all their clients, and they'd send those in on every Tuesday, send them into Sony. Sony would drop ship them one by one. Well, what happens when Sony gets 1,000 POs a week? They get 10 from Amazon, 10 from Best Buy, 10 from Costco, and they're all 1,000 units, 1,000 units, 1,000 units. And then they get that one PO to drop ship to Daniel on 3rd Street in York. Well, where in their priority line do you think that last drop ship one single unit PO goes? Whereas us, we hold everything. We hold our inventory. We can give priority to our clients based on wherever the hierarchy lies.
Yeah. So there's a few key lessons, like you guys just radically removed a huge piece of friction.
Absolutely.
In terms of like timing.
Absolutely.
Have you moved beyond servicing credit card companies and financial institutions? Like, how many customers do you have? Give me a sense of the scale today of Loyalty Source.
Yeah, absolutely. So Loyalty Source right now has 100 clients, give or take. We've grown a lot with the financial institutions, and I think that we're very thankful for their business. But one thing that we've seen emerging in the last years, and I think that's maybe a good segue into our new venture, is employee engagement. A lot of people are talking about disengaged workforces, human capital investment, employee attrition. These are all terms, where a solid recognition culture can help solve. And a lot of companies are starting to invest in employee engagement and customer culture, the culture of their company. And they're doing that through really cool pieces of software, which also have a reward component, right? There's the kudos, there's the pat on the back, there's the accolades, there's the town halls where everybody gets to voice their opinion. But then also there's the conversion of all those virtual high fives into tangible rewards, right? There's nothing like getting a good job, Frank, from your manager, but good job 2, 3, 4 times only brings you so far. Once in a while, you actually have to give a little something more. For some people, it's a half a day off. For some people, it's, take my parking spot for the day. And for others, here's 100 points. Go shopping with them in our marketplace.
So it sounds a bit different than what the team at Gsoft is doing, right? Which is just pure software, pure tracking of engagement. You're enabling also a reward component embedded within your program. Do you provide the front and software as well? Describe it. First of all, is there a brand behind this new employee engagement platform?
Yes, absolutely. So, in March, we are still in March, technically. On March 12th, we launched our beta, employee recognition software called Applause Recognition. And it's a free employee recognition software, to maybe stand apart from the company you just named, Gsoft. What they do is more pulse surveys, which is really cool and is a feature that we've embedded free of charge within our applause recognition. Obviously not over-engineered like, Gsoft does it. We just take probably, I'd say, 20% of the most essential core takeaways from pulse surveys, and we put it into our software. But one thing we realized throughout the almost 9 years now that we've been in the employee recognition space and the customer loyalty space is every company struggles with employee engagement. It's no matter the size, they all have problems at retaining their employees, engaging their employees, augmenting productivity. These are all really challenging factors that companies face, whether they're a 50 employee company or they're a 500 employee company or they're a multinational. And the difference between them is large corporations have the means to address this problem. And there's some really cool software out there like Merits and Achievers. They make some really, really cool employee engagement software, but targeted for the Fortune 500, right? Costs a couple $100,000 to deploy. And same thing with the per head per license fee per month. And we realized nobody was helping the SMBs. Nobody's targeting and going out there and helping SMBs be great at rewarding, retaining, and recognizing their employee base. So we built a free software where we say, you know what? SMBs deserve the same rights to be great at employee engagement.
I want to go back to what you said about this lack of employee engagement, and people are hearing about it, that work doesn't work anymore. Why do you think that is? What do you think are the underlying causes for this? I know it's a complex, multifaceted challenge, right? But curious to get it from your vantage point. Yeah,
well, we could talk about hours about on the subject, but it's a very good question. Honestly, I think there's a ton of socioeconomic dynamics that are changing, and the work environment is no longer, like we said earlier, the simple waterfall management type. You have to realize that your human capital is one of the most important things in your company. And this is something I deplored greatly about my bachelor's degree, where I only had one course. Out of 90 credits, there were only 3 that were on human resources. And I did not realize how important it would be and how difficult it would be to manage and to sustain a culture where people stay motivated, they're rallied around a guiding light. There's a lot of shifts in the ways that management takes place, and the importance of an employee within the workplace now, their opinion, their point of views, the way that we harbor and educate them in order to grow into more valuable employees for the company. And one way of doing this is by keeping them engaged, is making sure that they feel that they're being invested in, they feel they're being valued. Salary only takes you so far.
Yeah, it's like the bottom of the ladder, basically.
Absolutely.
And what percentage of your week do you spend? Would you guess on HR, quote unquote, and like team building and recruiting?
So as a CEO, I have 5 objectives. I spend my weeks, my months, my years, I split them down 20% each. And one is building strategy. So creating the strategy for the company, make sure the strategy stays intact, with time and with a variable, economic situation and customer base and everything. The second one is building the team. So right there, you got an HR component in there. I'm blessed to have an amazing team. Without my team, we would not be where we are today. Not only my team of directors, but also all our managers, every single person that contributes, in the KLF Group is a moving factor, in the decision taking that we have. The third one is motivating the troops. So that's another HR factor right there. And then after that, we have building a culture, a very strong culture. Within KLF, we believe greatly about having core values on which we rally around. We hire and fire and promote around our core values. This is our guiding light. This is how we make sure that everyone, when in doubt, when there's no easy decision factor, well, base yourself on the values. Is it helping? Is it hitting one of our core values? If so, trust yourself, take that decision, go into that direction. So you see, from my 5 objectives, as a CEO, there's 3 of them which are around HR.
I want to talk about the first one just because of personal interest. So how do you come up with strategy for your group? Is it a very linear process? Is it something more fluid? Is it like, do you do a retreat at the start of the year? Just curious to see how you think about it.
So a couple of years ago, I read this amazing book called Mastering the Rockefeller Habits. And it's all about strategic planning. And it's how to build a 2-page strategic plan. And the way we've built our strategic plan around the company was on a 5-year basis. We did this exercise again 2 years ago. And we've broken it down into a 5-year span, out of which we break down into yearly objectives. And every year is broken down into quarters. And every quarter has 5 rocks. Each rock is assigned to a specific business head, and they break that down to their respective team members. So everybody's accountable. It's kind of an accountability system where every year we get around, we do our year-end retreat. We review the last year's objectives. We review the upcoming year's objectives. We make any modifications as they need be, because the environment changes so quickly. It's kind of hard to, set it in stone. But the guiding lights are there. We know exactly what our corporate objectives are. We know what our growth objectives are. We know what tools and software we're going to use to achieve them. Now it's fine tweaks left and right. But every morning, we have our morning meeting, all the directors, we sit down together. It's a 30-minute meeting where we do alignment on the rocks. After that, they respectively go to their teams and do kind of a quick scrum meeting. And every week I have a one-on-one meeting with every single one of my directors to talk about how their rock is moving in the quarter, how I can help them with tools they need.
Very cool.
So we're constantly talking about the same subjects in order to make sure it's crystallized and there's a total alignment in objectives.
Now, a fan of that methodology in that book, for sure. We use something slightly different, but it's when I feel that just doing it in a very rigorous way, as you're saying, can bring immense value. Mm-hmm. So yeah, props to you and your team. What's currently keeping you up at night? It sounds like you guys have a great trajectory. You have multiple balls in the air with multiple companies. So just curious as to like what's where your mind is spending a lot of time right now.
Yeah, that's my mind is a very busy machine. It's it does keep me up at night a lot. What I'm really focused on right now is applause. I think that the market is ripe. Employee engagement is starting to really be understood, not only as a true behavioral science, but also as an investment standpoint on company side. Human resources is no longer a cost center. It's really a revenue driver. And if you invest in your human capital, if you invest in mobilizing your troops and rallying them around a subject, making sure that they live a culture, companies can really drastically increase their productivity and their time to market and whatever measures they use for human performance. So really putting a lot of time into applause. We're signing these really cool referral programs with loyalty source clients, because like I said earlier, loyalty source, our client base is mostly in the large institutional reward and recognition programs, and these companies, their software isn't tailored for companies that have 500 employees or less. So when they do get leads for that type of company, they're just turning them back into that red ocean, and it might be going to a competitor of theirs. So what we're doing right now is we're signing referral programs with our current client base, saying, you know what, if you have a client who comes to you for less than 500 employees, or the deal flow is too low for your business size, send them our way. Mm-hmm. And we'll tail it. We'll make sure to take care of them, and they're helping a current partner out as well.
So I want to maybe zoom out and talk a bit about your industries, so like because you've been operating these companies for a while now. What do you think's changed the most in the past 12 years?
It's a good question. I would say there was a couple of years ago, we noticed, when we walked into the industry, we noticed that a lot of the rewards, and here I'm going to talk more on the beginning on the reward side and then move a little more to the recognition. So the rewards were shifting more and more towards gift cards. The simple and quick reason for that was merchandise was being fulfilled on a 4 to 6 week delivery times, whereas gift cards were being drop shipped next day, right? There's no reason for a gift card provider to be out of stock of a plastic card. So one thing we did was change the delivery times, change the lead times for rewards being shipped, and we realized that the 80-20 split when we walked in, so 80% of the redemptions were on gift cards and 20% on merchandise, is now shifting back more and more in favor of merchandise, right? Because when you think about it, you order yourself an Apple gift card, for example. Well, you wait 2-3 days, you get the Apple gift card through the mail, or it's a digital code. And then what do? You either physically walk over to the Apple store and use that gift card, or you go online and order an iPad and have it delivered. Why not just order the iPad directly and have it delivered the next day? Yeah. Right? You're creating too many links into a chain where we can create value right away by providing you that iPad. So we've drastically increased. Also, we've helped. So by having a very solid merchandising offer and a very lean logistics offering as well, we were able to pass the average catalog from 300 to 3,000 SKUs, right? So right now, the average, our partners, their average catalog size is 3,000 products, going from iPads to Michael Kors bags to, you name it, Louis Vuitton scarves, on the high end, down to, RC electric toys, $5, remote controlled toys, right? So we have everything from from A to Z, from $10 to $10,000. And we like to believe we've really changed the marketplace offering into something that truly reflects the average consumer, the modern day savvy shopper.
Yeah, no, very cool. And I find it's a very apropos offering right now.
Yeah.
I feel like not too many companies are paying attention to this. And so maybe to talk a little bit about the employee recognition, because that's one, I think, of particular interest for me. You mentioned that it's gaining more and more importance. It's being perceived, HR is being perceived less as a call center, more cost center, more as a profit center. What do you think right now is happening in the space that no one is talking about or is not capturing enough attention?
So one thing that really is going to change is well, kind of like we said earlier, the importance. This is kind of two-tier answer. Sorry, my brain gets a little ahead of me sometimes. So, like we said, every company struggles with employee engagement, but not only the big corporations can afford the solutions. So we built a free employee engagement software where we can go out to the masses and start helping them address this problem, because a lot of small corporations are feeling the burn of getting their employees poached or just through employee attrition, which is something that we're seeing a lot. We're going out there to these, 200, 300, 400 employee companies, which Canada is full of, by the way. I think 90% of Canada as employee of companies is less than 100 employees. So most of Canadians work for a 100 employee company or less, and we're going to them and we're offering them our solution. And the reaction is, we've been craving for something like this for so long. And obviously we're not reinventing the wheel, right? We're just doing things a little bit leaner, a little less over-engineered than others, which is allowing us to go out there and offer it for free. So we're seeing this quick adoption rate of using technology to increase employee engagement and to build a culture around recognition. And the second part of my answer was, ISO is now adding employee recognition to their recognized protocol of practices. So any ISO certified company is quickly turning around and starting to look for a data measured employee recognition software where they can prove their compliance to their ISO certification.
So just to go back to Applause, if I understand correctly, you're giving away the software, and then you're monetizing via Loyalty Source.
Exactly. Yeah. So Loyalty Source gets consumed through Applause. Applause offers a ton of really cool recognition, industry best recognized practices, such as peer-to-peer recognition. So I'll give you an example. In my company, we use it internally. I think we're the best case study. Our company is kind of why we built it to start. That's a whole other story. But so employees amongst themselves can give a shout out through a message board and say, hey, thanks Dan for the amazing work, collaborative work on this project we delivered to XYZ company. Couldn't have done it without you. And then all the other employees can give a thumbs up, kind of like, we're using very recognized features, something that you'll see maybe on Facebook, on Pinterest, the waterfall type scroll downs. We're using very easy and UX driven tools in order for there to be easy and quick adoption rates. So we do peer-to-peer recognition, we do pulse surveys, we do leaderboards. We offer calendars, we offer birthday reminders, all these little things that most companies do informally through either spreadsheets or verbally. And at the end of the year, they kind of lose track of everything they did and who were the top performers and who are their best managers. Well, us at the end of the year, you have that all crystallized into one platform, and you can just export those data sets and say, yeah, okay, marketing department did really good. They got 100 badges. They got 3,000 likes. They got 4 million points offered to them. And, this is kind of like an employee performance review as well at the end of the year. And so everything is free within the platform except when you're offering points, right? The points is when you have to pay. We're not giving away iPads.
Yeah. It's also just a very smart go-to-market strategy, right? Because then you're giving away something, but you're monetizing via something else. So you're able to compete on a feature set that's other people are not able to, right? So it's kind of really smart.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Maybe one or two last questions just to be respectful of your time. What are you most excited about? Like what do you think? What do you see coming down the pipe that you're like, you're looking forward to?
Again, I'm going to default to applause because the adoption rate. So we launched on March 12th. Technically was our true launch. We were with a couple of beta clients, and the rate at which we've been, and it's a self sign up, right? There's no demo needed. There's no call us and then we'll instantiate the software and give us 4 to 6 days. It's literally from a click to an upload of an employee base to your first recognition practice, and you start changing your company's culture. And we say it's 10 minutes, but we had an internal race where all of our 45 employees did a sign up, and the fastest one did it in 3 minutes and 46 seconds. So from a sign up to an upload of an employee base, obviously a virtual employee base, to your first recognition practice. So, and the adoption rate at which we're seeing companies, because we broke down the barrier, right? Which was that first $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 spend to instantiate the software, to do the first rollout, which a lot of SMBs are looking at and saying, $30,000. What can I do with that $30,000? Right. And I'm the same, myself. When we went out to put in employee recognition practices, we called all of our clients and, amazing software, but the bill to install it, to get it started was just ridiculous. $30,000 is my recognition budget. If I blow it all on the software, what's left after that for the employees? Yeah. Right. So we're seeing that barrier break down. We're seeing the floodgates have been removed, and now we're taking in dozens of new customers per day. And it's really, I don't know if you remember that FedEx ad where they're in like a little shipping room, like, ooh, we got our first order. Then it refreshed, ooh, we got 36 order. Ooh, we got 36,000 orders. And then they're all looking at each other, what am I going to do? And then it says, call FedEx. Well, it's kind of like that right now, right? So
it's very cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. François, thank you so much. I guess one last question is, where can people find out more information about all your different ventures, what you guys are doing? Yeah,
so thank you very much for offering me this plateau to speak about our company and the great things we're doing. And if anybody out there wants to learn more about employee recognition or put in an employee recognition software, they can check out applauserecognition.com, which is our free SMB software, or just check us out, the klfgroup.ca, for more information about the company.
Very cool. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, Nectar.
Thank you for listening to the Point of No Return podcast. Never miss an episode by clicking on the subscribe button on iTunes or Google Play.